Hi, this is Charlie giving you Friday's live trading. Hope you're very well. I'm looking at the markets at the moment. I'm not seeing anything that I really particularly want to trade here yet today, and it's only 7:36 a.m. But I'm not seeing too much. Actually, the euro's just come into its bands here. It's had a nice little run up here, and I suspect it's going to want to come down to its lower band, but because it hasn't got positive momentum on the hourly chart, but um, it's not worth it for the sake of how many pips are involved. Look, we're at 170, let's call it, 137, sorry, and this is at 136.96 or something like that. It's just a couple of pips, really. So it's not to say it can't come all the way back over, but the trend has been reasonably good. There's a bit of a divergence, I guess we could argue now on the hourly charts, but overall, well. I think the other thing is because I'm long on the euro dollar. So if we bring up the account, so I'm long on the euro dollar. Remember, I was long last week, and interestingly, I actually got stopped out on what day was it? Wednesday, but had to just go straight back in, and so back in practically the same levels I was in before, more or less. I'm not quite as big a position. I think I was up to 300,000, so I'm at 250,000 now. So anyway, so that's that. And then overnight, this is really disappointing. This is the Japanese yen, dollar yen I was in. So it's only lost 136 pounds. But I was going to show you this because I got into this trade in the trading room yesterday, and let's bring up the dollar yen because I took this trade yesterday morning, and it stopped me out overnight. If we put this onto an hourly chart, my stop was at 102.40, and overnight, last night, that has gone to 102.40 and literally rolled right over. So that's really annoying when that happens. I mean, I was in at 102.17, so I was in over here. This is where I shorted it yesterday, and it had a bit of a run down, but I was trying to get in on a swing basis, so I wasn't bothered about taking. I was up about 50 pips even from there. Then it's come up overnight, left it alone because you have to allow trade slack to breathe, and then of course it's done that. That's a bit of an annoyance, I must admit. Even though it's a very small, the thing is because I was going to try and run this trade, I was looking for a couple of hundred pips, so very small loss relative to how much gain I would have had, but it's still frustrating when you get stopped out like that. It's just on the nick, but nothing you can do about it. And now I'm just on the outside of that trade, so we'll just have to. I'll be a casual observer of the dollar yen right now. I'll leave it at that for now. We'll press pause, and we'll come back to this as and when I can find anything. And I'll just come back actually because I just had this email come through forwarded onto me from Sam from a viewer. And following on from Monday's update where I talked about fear in trading, is said here, I just saw Monday's video and talks about fear in trading. I'm really struggling with overcoming my fear of hitting the trigger to trade because I might lose money. Just this last week, I gave back a lot of what I gained 2 weeks ago. I know is some sort of mindset that I have to overcome. Any suggestions to help? Right. Now, this is quite interesting because, well, firstly, it would suggest that his fear is that he might lose money. So the first thing that I would always suggest is to trade smaller. So downsize your positions, because if you're worried about losing money, it could be that you're trading at a position size which is actually too big for you at the moment until you get more comfortable. So that would be the first thing that I would suggest is actually reduce your position size. That does help overcome that fear. And then you can then gradually start to increase the position size again. The second thing that I've noticed here is that you're saying that just last week I gave back a lot of what I gained. I'm assuming what you're saying there over the previous 2 weeks. That could be. Another reason that people get fearful of losing is that if their winners are smaller than their losers, and that, from what I can read here, could be the case. So that is also a potential problem, because you know that although when you have your winners, they're nice, but you're so scared of having a loser because you know your losers are going to wipe out your gains. So you need to look at your risk to reward as well. So it's a case of having a look at those things, having a look at your risk to reward, having a look at your position size as well. And so you probably need to do a little bit of jiggling around with your trading, your strategy, whatever it is you're using, and that will help with your mindset. As regards to your mindset, like I said before, I would encourage you to do some just a couple of minutes of visualization several times a week, just visualizing you being comfortable with taking losses, because you have to become comfortable with it. It's a bit like having done karate like I did for 20 years, when I used to study the ancient samurais, and they had to embrace their fears because they had to embrace their fear of death, and because if they feared death, then they wouldn't be able to go into battle in the same way and be combative in the same way. So they had to overcome their fear of death, much like we have to. It's the same thing, it's fear. And so they had to embrace death, accept death. And once they accepted death, then they had no fear. And so it's the same sort of thing with trading. So hopefully that helps, but by all means, please email in again if you want to elaborate on that any further. Right, just back. It's now midday. I've not done a single trade all day. In fact, I haven't done a single day trade all week. So I've put that yen trade in yesterday. The one which obviously got stopped out overnight, like I said earlier on. But the one trade that I would have taken, let's go back, is on the pound. From a day trading perspective, would have been on the other day when we had the news came out when Carney was speaking. I would have got in on that because everything was lined up at that point with momentum, but unfortunately I was down in London on that date, so I missed out on that one. So I've not had a single day trade all week, and cable just keeps on going. I see cable going to 170 overall, but at the moment it's had a good run, and at any time it may want to pull back, but at the moment it just doesn't want to pull back. So let's go back to the euro dollar, because I am in that trade, so to speak, on the euro dollar. So we'll see what happens with this swing. I'm not going to tell you where my exits are going to be. I'm up about 100 pips on it, I think, at the moment. What was my open price? 135.79. That was my average open price. So we'll see about that. But that's about it, I think, on that. So I'm just going to carry on managing this euro trade, see what happens. Whatever happens, I won't lose on that trade, even if it comes down. I won't allow it to become a loser. It's just a case of whether it gets up to my targets or not, so we'll let you know next week. So sorry, no actual day trades today. It's, like I say, it's midday. I'm not going to hang around waiting all day for a trade to get onto the video now, so we shall leave it at that. The yen would have been, like I said, a nice trade. It pipped me out by 0.8 of 1 pip, but sometimes you just have a 5-minute chart, and it was right up here. Right there. My stop was at 102.40. It went to 102.40.8. So sometimes just the way it goes. Anyway, I shall leave that with you. Have a fabulous weekend, and we'll be back in touch next week.